What happens when a regional conflict begins spreading beyond its original battlefield? What starts as a campaign against military targets can quickly evolve into attacks on neighboring countries, strategic infrastructure, and allied forces. Every new strike widens the conflict, increasing the possibility of miscalculation and escalation. That is exactly the concern following Iran's latest claims. According to Iranian state media, Iran launched drone attacks against several U.S. military installations in Kuwait, including Al Doha, Al Salam Air Base, and Camp Arifjan. At nearly the same time, Iranian officials accused the United States of attacking Bushehr, home to Iran's only operating civilian nuclear power plant, as well as Shalamcheh near the Iraqi border. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command announced that it had completed its 12th consecutive night of military operations against Iranian targets, focusing on missile launchers, drone infrastructure, air defense systems, command centers, and logistics facilities. These are competing wartime claims. During active conflicts, official statements from each side may be incomplete, disputed, or difficult to verify independently. Understanding what has been confirmed versus what has only been claimed is essential. Today, we'll examine what Iran claims happened, what the United States has officially announced, why Kuwait suddenly finds itself at the center of regional tensions, why Camp Arifjan, Al Salam, and Al Doha are strategically important, how drones are reshaping modern warfare, and what could happen if this cycle of strikes continues. Much of the confrontation, military operations remained concentrated around Iranian territory and nearby maritime areas, but conflicts rarely stay geographically contained. When military planners cannot directly reach the opponent's homeland without significant risk, they often focus on forward-deployed forces. The United States maintains numerous military facilities throughout the Middle East. These installations support logistics, intelligence, command and control, aerial refueling, maintenance, and rapid deployment capabilities. Kuwait occupies a particularly important position. It borders Iraq, it sits close to the Persian Gulf, and it serves as one of America's primary logistics hubs for regional operations. Thousands of U.S. military personnel rotate through Kuwait each year. Equipment destined for operations elsewhere in the region frequently passes through Kuwaiti facilities. If Iran truly attempted to strike these bases, even with limited drone attacks, the message would extend beyond physical damage. The intended signal would be that no American regional hub is entirely beyond reach. That carries both military and political implications. Camp Arifjan. Camp Arifjan is one of the largest U.S. Army installations outside the continental United States. Rather than serving primarily as a combat base, it functions as a logistics and command center. From here, equipment, ammunition, fuel, and supplies move throughout the region. Major headquarters coordinate operations across multiple theaters. Because modern militaries depend heavily on logistics, disrupting such a hub could complicate operational planning even without destroying frontline combat units. Al Salam Air Base. Al Salam supports air operations. Aircraft operating from or through the base may perform surveillance, transport, refueling, or combat support missions, depending on operational requirements. Airfields represent attractive targets because they concentrate aircraft, maintenance facilities, fuel storage, and runways in relatively confined areas. Even modest damage to taxiways or fuel systems can temporarily reduce sortie generation. Al Doha. Historically, Al Doha has been associated with equipment storage and military support activities. Facilities of this type can contain vehicles, spare parts, maintenance infrastructure, and logistical resources that sustain deployed forces. In military planning, attacking logistics often aims to reduce an opponent's endurance rather than achieve immediate battlefield victories. Now, drones have fundamentally changed warfare, not because they always outperform manned aircraft, but because they offer a dramatically different cost equation. Many military drones cost only a tiny fraction of the price of advanced fighter aircraft or ballistic missiles. They can be launched in large numbers. Some fly low, others approach slowly. Some deliberately force defenders to expend expensive interceptor missiles. This creates an economic imbalance. Imagine using an interceptor costing hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars against a drone worth only tens of thousands. If dozens arrive simultaneously, defenders must decide which targets deserve interception, which can be ignored, which represent decoys. Modern drone campaigns increasingly combine reconnaissance, electronic warfare, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles into layered attacks designed to complicate air defense decision-making. Whether or not every drone reaches its target, forcing the defender to respond consumes resources and attention. While Iran focused attention on its claimed drone attacks, U.S. Central Command reported continuing offensive operations against Iranian military infrastructure. According to official statements, the campaign has concentrated on degrading capabilities rather than occupying territory. Reported targets include missile launch facilities, drone production and storage areas, air defense radars, surface-to-air missile batteries, command centers, communications nodes, weapons depots. The objective appears consistent with a suppression strategy. Rather than eliminating every weapon, the campaign seeks to reduce Iran's ability to launch coordinated attacks over time. Destroying launchers can reduce missile availability. Damaging radar systems complicates air defense. Targeting command networks disrupts coordination. This reflects a broader military principle. Degrading the systems that enable combat can sometimes have greater operational impact than focusing solely on individual weapons. One of the most sensitive allegations concerns Bushehr. Bushehr is Iran's only operating civilian nuclear power plant. Civilian nuclear facilities occupy a unique place during armed conflict. International humanitarian law generally provides special protections because attacks risk consequences extending far beyond immediate military effects. Damage could potentially affect civilian populations, infrastructure, and the surrounding environment. Iran accused the United States of striking the area. Independent confirmation of those specific claims would be necessary before drawing firm conclusions. In fast-moving conflicts, reports often emerge before they can be fully verified, and early accounts may later be revised. This is why analysts distinguish between official claims, confirmed evidence, and independently verified facts. The most important question is no longer whether strikes are occurring. They clearly are. The question is whether either side believes escalation will produce strategic advantage. History shows that prolonged cycles of retaliation can become increasingly difficult to control. Each attack creates pressure for a response. Each response creates new political and military incentives. Regional partners become more involved. Shipping routes face greater risks. Air defense systems remain under continuous pressure. Military planners must account for multiple fronts simultaneously. At the same time, diplomatic channels often continue operating quietly behind the scenes, even during periods of intense military activity. Whether those efforts succeed depends on political decisions made far from the battlefield. For now, both sides appear committed to maintaining operational pressure while attempting to shape the strategic environment in their favor. How long that balance can hold remains uncertain. The reported drone attacks on U.S. facilities in Kuwait and the continuing American air campaign against Iranian military targets illustrate how rapidly modern conflicts can expand beyond their original boundaries. Kuwait's military infrastructure highlights the importance of logistics in sustaining regional operations. Iran's emphasis on drones reflects the growing role of relatively low-cost systems in challenging sophisticated air defenses. Meanwhile, U.S. strikes demonstrate a focus on reducing military capabilities through sustained attacks on launch sites, command networks, and air defense assets. Many details surrounding these events remain contested, and independent verification is essential before reaching firm conclusions about specific claims. What is clear is that every additional strike increases the complexity of the conflict and raises the stakes for the wider Middle East. If you found this analysis informative, subscribe for more in-depth coverage of military strategy, defense technology, and geopolitical developments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.